Hello and welcome back to Test It Now Friends. Today we're going to be going over a software called My Studybar. And before I get to that, I wanted to say thank you, especially for those viewers who have been diligent in watching my videos. Please continue to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please also leave any comments below that you might have for me to know more about software or other applications that I can test for you teachers. Let's test it. Okay, so today I have My Studybar. Now, first impressions, it is an older type of software. It is an open source software. What does that mean? That means that it's available for you to replicate and change and add and adapt to anything that you'll need. And especially for teachers, those that, because of financial cost, don't have the opportunity to give these kind of resources to your children or have these kind of resources. This is the kind of software that you need that's considered older and a lower form of tech, but still has some very important functionality I'm going to go over today. So what is My Studybar? It has a number of applications just within it. In order to download it, you have to go to their website. So I already have that open right here. And on their website, you'll go to callscotland.org.uk. Now, on this website, there'll be a download option where you can get it. I won't log in or go into all of it right now, but you'll definitely need to go to this website in order to get the software. Once downloaded, you'll need to start, and this is where it became a little difficult for me in the beginning. You'll need to start taking the software and removing your antivirus and other firewalls that would protect your computer, because this software, what it does is it technically embeds into the system, and that causes a problem for starting it up. I technically had to go and kind of give permissions to this in a lot of the settings I just unlocked, but if you're using it for a student, you're going to want to just run through every application before you actually use it. So we go to the planning section. They have Xmine, they have the guide, and stickies. Xmine mapping is exactly what it says. It's a program where you're able to take an idea that the child has, and you're able to make kind of that scaffolded, broken down segment by segment piece for them, so they can have an outline, they can understand what they're working from a central topic to a more larger idea. I'm going to put this right here. We'll get back to that one. So for example, if I was to create a new page and I create a central topic, let's say I was working on, let's choose, we'll do feudal Europe. I know it's a random topic. I just was working on world history with one of my kids today. So that's the one I'm using. And then from there, you're going to want to add to feudal Europe. Now you have a number of options. You can label, you can add notes, you can extend all, you can collapse all. This is all from the right click. You can copy, you can paste. My biggest thing is that if you're coming to this software and you're trying to use it as kind of a way to create a sort of Venn diagram like mind map, that's really what it was for. You're basically giving the student the opportunity to break into pieces what it is they're trying to study. So if I wanted to add a sheet of paper to it, so right here I have kind of another central topic added to this, I can always go to the program and I can click on or make a specific type of map. So let's see here. Well, I will say this: this program, albeit that it is very versatile, can be very difficult and not so user-friendly for a lot of reasons. So let's see here. Yeah, so we have sheet 1, and if we want to create that kind of stem, we just pull it out and we connect it right inside of it. So we have to get to the point where it's actually connecting. All right, there we go. So you take that top part of sheet 1 and then you connect it with the next sheet of paper you're trying to create. Again, you can add another one. So if I go to this central topic and I add another sheet, I can choose to insert a topic, insert a subtopic. I can insert a topic before or after, just depending on what exactly it needs. So here, example, is a subtopic, and as you can tell, this subtopic can have another subtopic. Let's see here. So it's like branching. That's the idea of mind mapping, is you're taking something that's a central idea. So in this case, it was the feudal Europe idea, and you say Western Europe, and maybe you have things like, you know, rulers like knights, lords. I can type the word knights. Yeah, there you go. Lords. I think it's not actually recognizing what it is. That's funny. Kings. And just, you know, really different individuals that would be involved in that scenario. All right, so now we've gone over XMind and kind of that mind mapping strategy, the guide. Now, this kind of organizer is kind of the same idea you would use for if you had some kind of, and this is where I was getting at. I have this set up already, but sometimes it doesn't function right. And that's kind of the problem that you run into with an older software. As we've moved into this Windows 10 generation and new forms of OS for Mac, for Apple product, it's really hard to use kind of that older product, and this really doesn't work on Mac. To be frank, that's why I'm here featuring it on PC. It's more versatile and will allow for more. But even if I click New here, it's not even going to do anything. Like it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. Unless, and the only way I've actually gotten it to work was by creating, let's see here, adding a top level page. Now this would allow for people to really take a project you want to have your kids do and kind of help them through steps. So this has kind of a like a brief how-to kind of about the guide. It gave me like a close this out. It gave me kind of a like brief. This is how you can color code. So like, for example, let's say I add another page, and there you go. Save that. Yes, it's fine. Edit. Add top level page. Start. Tree. Add child page. So now on the child page, what I can do is I can, with these options, make a variety of parts to it. So let's say I gave the child an assignment. Let's say it was about, I don't know, let's make a couple of child pages that go along from this segment right here. Let's make 2 of them. Alright, so let's say that the subject, again, it opens and expands just like any kind of system that has components to it. So let's just say that I wanted to name it, I don't know, Algebra 1. Again, just whatever I'm working on with the kids. Then from there, I wanted to talk about polynomials. And then we could do something like quadratics. And then we could work on, I don't know, variables, right? They're basically all inside of that. But just naming off things that come into my mind. And so what I can do is I can color code them according to what kind of overlays are available. Say I wanted this one to be the text of lime green, but I wanted the background color to be a black kind of color. Boom, there you have it. That's the specified segment page. And then from there, well, let me go ahead and add the different backgrounds I wanted to these other ones. So red, for example, and we'll make another background color a blue. Sure. Alrighty, so now I have 3 sections that are segmented for my Algebra 1 topics, and my child or student that I'm working with, they'll be able to have it separated into these different groups. I can again add another child page from there, and on that child page I can rename it. And so let's just say we'll do x, it's the power of 6 plus 2x minus 16, and so that equation would be the first example I would give to my kid as a polynomial. This is again the name of the page. I can let me go ahead and check here. I can shift the page if I want. Let's say that I had a preference like a view, so I could have this going up, so that way this one's more towards the middle. Maybe I want to focus on just going over quadratics with that specific polynomial listed in there. Maybe I prefer to talk about variables. So it's very malleable, this software. You can make those changes if you need. And obviously there's more discovery you'll make as you go through it, but I'm just giving a quick test to give you an idea of kind of the speed, what it includes, how it could be used with your student. So let's go to the next one. Sticky notes. I don't really feel like this is super easy to use, frankly, but you have a lot of software applications out there that you can use yourself, and these sticky notes are not really super intuitive how to find them on this program. You actually have to go to this bottom right corner. Technically everything in the program just always seems to go to this bottom right corner, and you can add this new sticky if you would like. So let's say you have your assignment for math and you need your kid to make sure to practice the quadratic equation, and I probably should spell it right. All right, and that is your first to do on the list, right? That way you can just leave it to the side here. You can use it with your kid however you would like. That way they don't lose it and it's just stuck on the window. So the idea of a sticky note, again, there's so many applications out there that do this, that maybe you wouldn't really prefer this kind of, but you can stack your stickies that you make. You can do a screenshot of the sticky that or you can add it as a sticky, which is kind of nice because one, there's a kid that you're working with and they may not remember exactly what it is that you're working on, but you for sure want to make sure that they get the help that they need, and they need to visually see what it is you're looking at. Again, there's a lot of Windows applications, but this is something in the case that they're using like a Chrome OS software, something that is very simple, that can be put onto a flash drive. They can carry it around with them, and you don't have to worry about not being able to boot up with the internet. Alright, so again, it's just another way of doing the work that you need with your kiddos. So I don't want to really take an excessive amount of time on sticky notes, but I do want to mention that this planning section is more about making sure that your kids have the ability to go about what they need for the assignments that they have to complete. Let's go to the reading section. Close that out. Nope, don't need to save that. Close out. I'll leave it there just for later. And again, we have this reading section here, and it's more about, I noticed that this software is really geared towards children with dyslexia, individuals with scotopic vision problems. They may need a certain overlay, or they'll need something visually for them to keep focus on, and or the letters are just Mears Erlin, very similar to the dyslexic category, is really geared towards those overlays that you may not know. So this T-bar screen masking just allows you to be able to choose a section and create a actual kind of T-bar where they can read with a color change. So you can go to controls and you can change the actual color that you would like. Maybe you prefer a red or a blue. You can do it in segments. So for example, you can switch it so that way that there's a series of lines on it. So for example, say this one's over here, and then we'll go here, and then we can go 2 lines. Boom. So you might tell your child, okay, so you will read line 1 and I will read line 2. And so if we were to go to a reading text like we have, and we need to have these 2 lines, I mean, it'd probably be better, what I'll do is I will change it to yellow color for 1, and let's see here. I mean, yellow's still a good one. And then we can choose exactly how big we would like the bar to go here. And you can let your kids know, hey, if you want, again, you click it again to erase them. If you want to read line 1, I'll read line 2. And it gives them the opportunity to stay focused on one line at a time. Another thing is you have a central line. If you move both of them high enough, they'll be able to keep focused on what they're reading. Attention deficit, it would work great for kids with, especially those with reading comprehension difficulties, when they are struggling with the ability to keep focus and to know or remember where they were at because they're taking so much time to be able to understand the text. This is a great way to stay on task. And it's colorful, so it has those overlays where they're focusing, so the scotopic vision difficulties that they could have would be very supportive for Mears Erlin. So again, to get out of it, it's not necessarily so intuitive. It kind of requires some practice. So your kids, this is why you run through it with them. You want to have done this with them a couple times. So you do exit, you right click exit. You can have a screen ruler. This might just be easier for you. Maybe you just want a straight bar that they can go to, yes, and they can see the tester. And that's the line they know that they need to work on. They can choose the different function keys in order to make it smaller, bigger, however they would like. Excuse me. You can right click, you can change the color, you can change the height, you can lock it. It depends on what you're trying to do. So like for example, maybe it's a larger text, so you need a bit more width. Maybe this is not big enough, so you need it to be longer because it takes up the entire page. They're not able to visually see everything unless they have a larger. So it gives you a little bit more freedom. The SS Overlay tint screen. Now this one would be very hard if you were trying to go over with a kid how to do this, unless they are just very tech-minded. They may not be able to really get it. So you yourself working with your kid, you can use this. Again, it's geared towards this Mears-Erlin need. It's going to tint your screen, and you can change the color down here on the bottom, on the right, in the settings. You can go and make it a lime green, or you can make it a blue, or an aqua. I mean, I definitely like that aqua look, and you can really make it a strong transparency, or you can just really make it more, give it more opacity in your actual overlay. And again, if you want to just take this off, you go back. This is where, I had a big problem, because I was like, am I gonna have to restart my computer all the time? No, you have to right click on that arrow on the bottom right and click exit. That way you'll no longer be in the program. For your writing tools, okay, Balaoka, it is a word processing software, and I could see where you might want to use it, but I guess kind of in this modern age, it's not really something that you would typically use. It's more of just a extra in case you needed a program that you knew was going to be functional and that would work. It kind of runs the same way. If you've ever used the Kurzweil 3000 software, it's kind of, again, like an older tech, but let's just say, hello, test it now, friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. And you can have that read to you.
Hello, test it now, friends.
Now I'm going to stop it right here, and I'm going to go to options. You can do a spell checker, you can do a text import, you can do a pronunciation correction, you can go to the voice, you can change the pitch, you can make it, they have hotkeys, you can make it go higher, lower. Sometimes I notice with children with autism, the tone you use in your reading really affects the way that they really want to keep attentive in the time you're having a read aloud activity, or maybe they just don't want to be around you. I've had kids that just don't want to be around me, and so I literally take the time to find that right tone that they prefer, set it up, give them that feature. And if you want, you can, there's a number of features, but I feel like the ones that are most functional are the ones that I went over. I don't really see you looking for the foreign words with the kids, that I don't really utilize that, because I don't really use the EL kids, and in where I work, they're supposed to be using the software specifically in the English language, obviously with the instruction piece. But you can save the text, you can change it to audio. Yes, you can change it to audio by just basically by having it read to. Now you have an audio file that's kind of been generated. So if that's something that you would like to just have later on that's read to them, and they don't have to read through the text, that's fine. But I do feel like them following along as it color codes,
I hope you enjoyed the video,
is really something helpful. You can slow down the speed, you can increase the speed. I also did another video a while back on Natural Reader. This is kind of that same feature, but it's something that is in the software and not something you have to have internet access to once you've downloaded it. So it's an at-home feel kind of support in the computer. Alrighty. So with that, what I want to do is move to, and we can continue with the reading parts. I know I didn't go over all of them, but the Let Me Type word prediction tool. This one, it's really about building things. I don't see kids or us really doing that, but it's, if you have a kid that's learning how to spell, for example, and you needed a strategy to get them used to just typing a few words, this might be the program for you. And the way that it works is, if you have a document that has let's say a notepad, Microsoft Word, that has a selection, a story selection that they've read, and maybe they might remember, after reading it, like the first three letters, but they can't spell it out. Well, what this Let Me Type will do is, as they go to an actual Word document, and it won't be on here, it'd be like on your notepad or some sort. If I had a Word document open, I could go over that kind of briefly. So with the typing feature, so let's say, hello, how are you? There's just 3 words, okay? But what you can do is you can, let's see if I can find it in here. Should be able to highlight, and I know the individual that went over, there's an actual video clip of this when he did it. He had it actually saved on the screen. He went to the actual text file itself and he imported it into here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll see if I can save this on the screen. Save options. We'll go to browse. Oh, gonna have to get that out of there. But whatever. You know, you guys have me on Test It Now, friends. And then we'll just save it right to the desktop right here. And we'll go out of the Documents feature, we'll go to the desktop, and we'll click on the Word document, if it will generate. Open. Okay. And, you know, it can be very laggy, it can take some time. It can also just be, frankly, difficult to utilize. But if you get those words preset into the system, what happens is the actual words that are imported into here, so maybe we have Notepad, because that's what he utilized. What is the reason for this problem? Right? And he basically had that set in there. Let's see if I can find it here. And okay, and we'll save it to this high-speed computer, right? On a teacher's salary, of course. Alrighty, let's save that desktop. Alright, well, it's not going to work for me, it's not going to work for me. And you see, this is what I mean about being user-friendly. These are the difficulties you run into as you just try to make a simple notepad save, or you just try and keep a text file. You don't want it to be so difficult. You want it to be something that will work. And just, you know, really simple. I mean, we have kids that we're working with, they already have a number of issues that they're not, so, you know, as a teacher, if you run into that problem, it can be very hard to be able to give the same expectation to your students. So with that in mind, it will save the words onto Let Me Type, and then what it'll do is it'll actually, as your kid is, or your child, your student is typing in the actual text, the slow paced, like first letter, it'll show a word to choose from. It'll show a word to choose from second letter. So if you had the words, for example, how are you, and you typed the letter H, how would show up. And you would be able to select that. It gives you a number 1, number 2, number 3 of how many words to start with the letter H. Alright, so again, we'd love to test it, just we have technical difficulties as we go through it. This is a real life situation. You're with the kid, you have to give instruction, doesn't matter how much prep you have, it might just still be a difficult process. Rapid typing, I think it's just mainly for kids that just don't know how to type. It's a lost art. Kids are just not learning how to type. That's funny. Correctly. They're just not really caring, or dictation is really taking over. I mean, it's not something that we use. It'll give you specific ratings of how you're typing wit, what is your actual words per minute that's expected when you're typing. So it's just a good, simple typing tool. This is all on the same program, okay? I have been going for a while, but this is all on the same program. You can just have your kids go to sections here. They can go to a more difficult selection. They can go to different lessons. They can work on different parts of how to actually type. So I just think that in and of itself makes this a very versatile kind of software, where you're taking something that's very complex, typing skills, reading skills, and you're comprising them in one place, which is what a lot of kids need nowadays. Yes, there are many choices out there, but sometimes, even though we have the most versatile type of software, it just doesn't function. And this one is simple, easy to use for the kids. It shows them where the keys are. It's not, I think one of the interesting stories I ever heard was a teacher that apparently put a book on the kids' hands so they wouldn't see it. And I think that's great, but I think that it's okay to just find one of those covers for the keys, not necessarily have them with this like heavy book on their hand trying to type. But that's just my opinion. Okay, this voice option, what it does is, if I'm here in the Word document and I need to use dictation, it goes directly to the Microsoft voice feature. If it doesn't have it, it just creates it within there. It's actually saved onto this program. So, as I'm actually speaking, it will be able to keep the text and write it down. And so, boom, these kids who have difficulties with being able to spell or being able to use words and know what the phonemes that transition to letters, how they actually work. This is just a great way for them to have it completed as they're learning to speak, or especially with those kids with speech difficulties that they would prefer to type. This is just a good way to get them to recognize maybe some errors that the computer's not picking up. I know that we don't want them to feel bad about their speech. It's just the tone and pitch. But language is just also another factor that we seem to forget sometimes as we give that service to the kids. So this is just a really a simple way to keep it down. It's not always accurate. Obviously, this part is completely inaccurate, and they may have to go back to it. That's fine. So the important part, though, is that it's something that they can just click and boom, it starts typing the words for them. Now here on the right click, you can put it to sleep, you can turn it off. If you set this up on your computer, it's going to just come up because it's a setting that they have as kind of the interface with Microsoft. So there's a lot to it. But we'll just leave that there and we'll go to Vision. So with Vision, this is just mainly about what you're looking at. If your kids need larger font, maybe their palette title that they have needs to be bigger, maybe they have words that are bolded, this will be able to kind of increase and help the size or shape or whatever it is that the kids need as a font. It's really just a helpful kind of font changing tool. So the last part, and this is what I feel is very important if you're going to download or put this on to either your flash drive. So literally speaking, all of this could just be on, boom, right there, one flash drive. Okay, 2 gigabytes, right there. Kid has any PC, any software for Chrome, that OS will be able to just not worry about what it does, and the programs are on that flash drive. So what does that do? That allows kids to have portability with their software. They can go from one computer to the next, never have to worry that that computer doesn't work with this software. Of course, you know, I don't know how many of us have the Mac software, but it's not really able to work from what I've seen. But that may change. Regardless, this extras part, what it'll do is it'll give you kind of choices for how you want to listen to your voice. It'll give you a text-to-speech reader. It also, I think what's important is going to hear the tutorials and support. Once you click on that, it'll take you to the website, the same website that I'm on right here, and it'll be able to show you verbatim how to go over these videos. And I would just recommend you going to that so you can see how it actually will help your child. It's got good videos, good content. I totally recommend going there, watching them. But overall, as a tested software, what do I think? Well, if I have a kid who really struggles in my class with, you know, the modern day tech, and I need just something as a tool that doesn't cost $1. That's right, it's 100% free. It's an open source software. So if I need something because, you know, we're teachers and we don't always make the most money, we need something that's going to operate and function and help our kids, especially those with dyslexia, those with reading challenges. I mean, I named just right now autism, attention deficit disorder, especially with hyperactivity. I mean, they may have a learning disability, especially with reading comprehension. All of these are geared towards those students. And so, would I get it? I wouldn't get it for myself. If I had a specific child, especially in an overlay, you know, Mears Erlin, for that color code change, so that way the brightness of the screen isn't impacting the way that they're able to read the words, then yes, I would get it. I would get it because it's free and because it is something that I can set up myself. I always feel best when I'm able to run through it with the student and give them an idea, and I don't need to worry about internet connection. And I know that seems like a very, like, in today's modern world, like internet, like everyone has internet, but I've run into cases where they just can't do anything, and that just takes me back in the process. So a lot of these applications now we have nowadays, they don't always need internet, but sometimes they do, and that can be a game changer. So again, my test is I'm kind of in the middle about this. It's very, you have to use it a lot, you have to train with it. It can be very difficult for some people. It's not really the user-friendly type, it's more of a tech-minded kind of idea. But if you're looking for something that's free, and you're looking for something that can help with dyslexia, Mears Erlin, if you're looking for something that can help with that autistic child or attention deficit disorder student, this might be the choice that you need, because you might not have the funds to be able to get the Kurzweil 3000 for all students or what have you. So I've worked with both. I can honestly tell you as an instructor that this software can be functional if you just use it right. Mind mapping is wonderful. You can do it with Microsoft Word, but the thing about Word is that that's not the only component of it, right? You have to use other things in order to make a smart art or a Venn diagram-like figure. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I really do consider this to be a software that, you know, as an open source, as something that could be useful for those types of children, and at the same time, it may not be the right fit for you, but we just tested it.